On behalf of TiE Dubai, welcome, welcome, welcome. Pleased to introduce Anastasia, our charter member and co-chair for TiE Women, who has been such a rock star in everything she has taken up, especially under the public relations umbrella. She's a new mom. She's very busy. She's an accomplished PR professional and business advisor who leads a Dubai-based communication consultancy called Sherpa Communication. She has 13 years of expertise developing and executing all aspects of public relations and marketing campaigns. She provides senior counsel to brands of any size and structure, helping them achieve business objectives and meaningful results through the strategic use of communication. She has experience across various sectors, B2B, B2C, worked in MENA, with the MENA international and CIS clients, diplomatic bodies. She prides herself on establishing a personal connection with agencies' clients to match their specific needs. Anastasia and her colleagues also actively support a rising number of startups and SMEs in the UAE and Middle East, providing advice on best practices and tactics for effective scaling up and business growth. A passionate public relations practicer, Anastasia is actively involved in community groups in UAE, helping individuals and businesses master PR tools for their projects. She's actively involved in mentorship programs within TiE and other communities. Without further ado, Anastasia, please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. So we're gonna keep the session interactive. I'm gonna switch to the full-on screen view. So if I'm not gonna see your comments, Cecily gonna help me as well. So during the session, I'm gonna ask some questions. Hopefully it's gonna be very useful. Make sure you have pen and paper. Hopefully I'm gonna give you some useful tips as well. I want you to turn it into an to-do list for you just to start the slides. While I'm setting up the presentation, can you leave comments? Are you a student, an entrepreneur? You have a business running? So I just know how to address the points to you as well. Very interesting questions. I can see we have quite an experienced audience here. I think I can quit and just leave just now. But yeah, that's interesting. Lots of entrepreneurs, students, SMEs, employees as well. I think I can address all of the questions, but look, we want to keep this very interactive. So feel free to ask questions during the session, leave it in the chat, and we address either during the session or after that. So the most exciting conversation today is because we're going to be talking about each of you and your personal brand, how you can establish it or enhance, scale up. It's like a business, but we very often forget about ourselves. So at the beginning, just to Cecily already did a fantastic introduction. I just wanted to share a bit more details about myself, my experience, in case it's going to be helpful to you. So as mentioned, I am part of a PR agency called Sherpa Communications based here in Dubai. We're a business consultancy and a PR agency. I'm also doing business consulting and advisory with many other organizations. Many of you probably know me as a mentor as well with TiE Dubai and and some other ecosystems. I live and breathe PR. I'm super passionate. Feel free to find me on LinkedIn as well and ask me questions. Even during in the middle of the night, I will answer them. Started my journey in-house, but then moved to the agency side. And for the last 13 years, I've been on the agency side, meaning at a daily basis, we work with different brands across different industries. And we can hopefully help address a lot of questions that you have regardless of the industry that you represent. Moving forward, we're going to talk about your personal brand and actually why now it's the time to build your profile. Straight away, actually a question to you or a few. How do you feel? Do you have a personal brand developed? And if so, are you happy with it? And what do you think is needed to have that shiny personal brand so everyone knows you? And to be honest, do you really think that everyone needs to know you or someone specific? We discuss this a bit later, but you can make notes for yourself if you feel that you have a super ready profile. That's fine. If you feel it needs to be established, just answer it for yourself, because within the session you're gonna see how you can improve it. Your corporate journey. So you're a founder, you created a brand which you're proud of, and if you look into the history, the whole 21st used to be branding used to be only for businesses. The whole 20th century, we were talking about big enterprises, praise success of big companies like Coca-Cola, and only at the beginning of the 20th century, one of the personalities, which I'm sure you know, Dale Carnegie, he started to transform the society by bringing such topics as self-improvement, corporate training, public speaking, interpersonal skills, and he started to encourage people to look into themselves and how they can develop themselves. The whole 19th century was about like more being modest personality. Now we are the century of go-getters. Now you need to be active, energized, and this is where the branding started to become more prominent, not only for businesses but for people, individuals as well. Of course, with the boom of internet, this is the whole game change for all of us. Now we actually, each of us is a public person, public figure, and a certain information about us available online. That's why each of us can choose to be influencer if you really want to be so. So you is the biggest asset that each of us actually have, but you'll be surprised, there is some statistics mentioned on the slide, but many people want to get in touch with founders behind that they represent certain brands, but many founders, they hide behind their companies. They don't want to be public, they are not active on social media, but as you can see, only 1 in 5 CEOs use social media on a daily basis to interact with his or her customers. This is the quite surprising statistics, but we shouldn't forget that actually the biggest asset and the most important asset, that's you. And the real number of one for all the startups that are here, and actually not only startups, but enterprises and any company at all, if you're planning to invest in anything, first of all, invest in people. And if you're a founder or co-founders that you run in a business by yourself, still invest in yourself, because you're gonna notice that from day one, you're gonna be running business, you're gonna be an account manager, an HR advisor, and a salesperson, a business development director, a lawyer. Actually, if I have my friend Bianca here on the call, she will tell you don't be a lawyer and do outsource this to professionals. But when it comes to other roles, you will notice that you're actually wearing too many hats during the day. And this is where you need to understand how your profile looks like to the international audience, and how you can influence that. And it means that we should develop ourselves. And if you ask why, a simple example, we all know Tesla because of Elon Musk, and we know Apple because of Steve Jobs. People love to connect with people, and this is what you should remember. When you wake up, dress up, you present yourself. You just go out and start reflecting your journey. So you should think what vibes you give to people during the meetings and other activities that you have. Think about this race that you can see on the screen. Everyone has a brand, but not everyone's personal brand is developed to be a strength. What are we talking here about is like, think about a celebrity that we all know. For example, Ronaldo. We all know him as a world known celebrity and football player. If you ask girls, they will tell you that they know him as a model and as a perfect husband. He has kids. So each of us has a different story about Ronaldo, but we do all know him. Imagine then friend Steve. who is a nice guy. He also goes to office. He also well known. He contributes and gives back to the community. But will he be a go-to person that you will refer to, or you will ask for support for your business? Probably not. And the only challenge that's going to stop you from this is that Steve hasn't developed that reputation that will allow you to actually refer him, or to see him as a go-to personality. So there is another task for you now. Think now about your personal brand and positioning at the moment, the current one. How do you want people to see you? Like in your imagination, you of course have something like, I want to be seen as a super professional, a super mom, maybe a sports or athlete. This is your reflection of yourself. And then think, how do you think what people think about you at the moment? And then just look at these two images. Are they matching? If no, then this is where we have a problem, or like a nice issue they need to work with. Because ideally, the portrait should be resonating with how you want to position yourself. Otherwise, people think that one thing about you and you want to communicate something different to them. And actually, in the nutshell, to be in business today, our most important job is to be a head marketer for the brand called you. It means 24/7, you need to think about your brand, regardless of age, position, business we are in. We all need to understand the importance of the branding. It's that simple and that's hard at the same time. The good news, and actually that we can influence our reputation. We can build that image, that reflection that we project into the society, and you can influence that. This is where we will learn how to do it. This is a marketing mix chart, which I transform into a personal mix pie. So in order to promote the product and business, you need to go through a marketing mix. Same with people and with our profiles, but we very often forget about this. So this is your cycle of connections. Family, friends, work, university, you interact with these people on a daily basis, you interact with even bigger audience through your social media, blogging, events, and networking. And what we advise clients to do, and actually the same I advise I'm sharing with you now, is to think about yourself as a personality, about your brand persona. Think about it as a pie and divide that pie into 5 or 7 segments. Each of these segments gonna represent an important let's say feature in your life, an important activity. How do you see yourself? Are you workaholic, you super focus on work, then allocate one of the charts for that. Do you love sports? Are you an athlete? Do you want people to know you as an athlete? They allocate chart for another chart for that. You probably, if I start giving you names of different CEOs or well-known people, you're gonna start giving me top mind reflections of their life, right? Like he's a nice businessman, but he also passionate about his family. It's because that person want to create that impact, and he keeps posting about the same. An example, Rock, the actor. So he's an athlete, but he's an actor now, and he keeps posting his family pictures as well. So this is his building profile. The local example, Chris Bates. If I tell you, some of you is gonna say he's a Virgin Radio presenter. Others of you are gonna say he's also very passionate about fitness. But for another audience, he's known with 2 lovely daughters and many other activities. Again, this is a consistency of messaging that we need to reflect on a daily basis. So that's coming back to that pie chart. What you need to do is like think who you are. How do you see yourself? Work, social, family, personal life, self-development, what is taking most of your day, just allocate this into the pie and then work on the communication, be consistent. Like actually, and then look in your social media as well, how you position in the chart and what you're talking about yourself publicly on social media. Are these profiles, are they matching? Because otherwise you may think that, oh, everyone knows me as a super professional. But if your Instagram is all about social partying, this is what people think about you, not that you are a super knowledgeable expert in a certain industry. That's an interesting exercise, and I do encourage you to start with it. This is like in business, we do in the planning, and then we just move on to the execution. So, of course, nowadays your personal brand is primarily digital. Then the internet happened, all kind of information started to move around the world, and part of the reason the importance of the personal branding is so going noticeable now is because each of us is out there in the internet. Think about your daily interaction. You are asking someone, "Do you have a dentist? Can you share a contact of a person?" And straight away, what are you doing? Google, this is what happening. It's going to happen with your personal profile. So that's why a certain information of us is already sits there in the internet. Good thing we can influence that if you wish to. And for those who's gonna say, why should I do it? I just not a public person. I don't like, I'm super busy. I don't want to do all of this. Think about this phrase. If you don't talk about yourself, your competition will. And I'm sure they're not going to say some fancy things about yourself. Then you think about this. What does it mean? Here is for you in a simple example. Have you noticed actually how often Bill Gates tweets and does posts? This is because at some point he noticed that Steve Jobs was doing that. And look where is Apple now. This is, of course, more on the joke side, but in a real life scenario, what's happening? You might be working 24/7, leaving office at 10 o'clock, and working very, very intensively on your business, but people don't know about this. And reality is, unless you go public and talk about this in a certain way, you're not going to be noticeable. So while you're doing real business, your competition can be 1 mile ahead just because they're more consistent, more visible, public. And this is what I encourage you to do as well. So start being active, and the most important here, take control. If you don't post, it's just to answer your question. If you feel I don't want to be a public person, take control. Otherwise, your profile is going to be messy. And actually, soon you're going to see, we're going to check how your profiles at the moment look like. If you ask what can personal branding do for you, another example for you, of course, this is where we're looking at the LinkedIn. These days, everyone should have a LinkedIn profile ready. A simple example for you. We work with a lot of businesses and many CEOs to whom I'm talking today as well. They're super busy. They tell us, no, I don't have social media, or I do it, but I don't manage them. And this is where we end up finding all these LinkedIn profiles, missing the profile picture, or the background information, or the biography as well. What kind of reflection that person gives you? Probably not consistent information for you to say, yes, he's a super expert, but this is what the reflection I want to create. So we worked with a company, with the CEO and the sales team. We built a daily, weekly, and a monthly calendar for them in terms of what they need to be talking on social media. We encourage them to be doing a blog post once per month, not more regular than that. And we ask them to interact with their audience for a few minutes per day, so it doesn't, disrupt their workload as well. So the results after 6 months, they were astonishing. That CEO who didn't invest into the profile but started doing so, his profile changed and the perception of the audience, his followers, changed as well. He started to be invited to the industry events. This is to answer your question. If you're a busy CEO and you're saying, why should I do that? He started to be invited to the events. And normally, invitation or like public speaking opportunity at a trade event can cost you $6,000. But this is where organizers were after him because they saw him as a forward leader in the market. Same for the sales team. They started to go out and the sales cycle for them shortened, and they started to, sell better, and their profile started to be more consistent. that CEO, to be honest, he got promoted to the global role. And I'm not joking, this is a real time, a real scenario story. And also he started to get the industry recognition. So he now is seen as a reputable person on the market, go-to person for the business advice, for the sales. And actually then COVID happened and many of his competition just failed, crashed and closed the businesses. He stayed on top there. Why? Because the bigger brands that work with them, when they were doing selection, which partners they should support during the crisis, of course, they invested into relations with this company because they can see that they also care about their position and what they do on the market. So the key here is, of course, consistency. Consistency is what delivers the results. And this is just a quick checklist for you to do on a daily basis. And first of all, start with this 3 posts per week. So in 6 months, you can inform me that you got promotion to the global level. But do this 3 posts a week. Think again, come back to that pie chart that we were discussing, how you position yourself, who you are. And of course, it depends on the platform as well. But if it's LinkedIn, talk more business. If it's Instagram, you can go more lifestyle. But keep consistent messaging, define the key messages. I want to be portrayed as a professional, as an athlete, and then do this consistency on the platform. 3 posts 4 times, so it's 12 posts during the month. If you're gonna tell me this is gonna be too much for you, come on. This is like a short actually content pieces like this, 12 per month, it's doable. Be also on the platform where your audience is. What I'm referring to is that I can tell you, oh, Twitter and LinkedIn is the must platform for you. But you might say, no, actually, I need to be on TikTok, on Snapchat, on Instagram, because my business is lifestyle. So again, the exercise that you're going to do after this session, first define your profile, but then think to whom I'm talking, to whom I'm profiling myself, who is my audience, and then define their profiles, the platforms, and stay on the platforms there your audience is. By the way, open your profiles. Let's start with it. Very often I go to Instagram and I can find that a person has a closed private profile. Look, if we want to build an empire and go public, then stay consistent, open your profiles. And another tip from PR, actually, this is what we tell clients on a daily basis. We say nothing goes off the record. Whatever you say, whatever you project is going to go public. So what it means is that imagine even what you post on social media may go public. So don't close your profiles, but better start profiling and posting something which you are not afraid of, but strategically planning to post. That's a much better tactic for that. Second one, write 1 article a month. You're gonna ask, what shall I do with this? Okay, I'm gonna write it, but how, where can I post it? Again, you're a very powerful person. You just don't know about this. First, you have LinkedIn. There is a platform there you can post these articles. They can also with hashtags go visible. Second one, the magic support of a freelancer, you can have your own blog, you can have your landing page where you can start the blogs, and this can go live as well on internet, so you can start influencing the community. Provide commentary on industry topic and trends. Again, you can use effectively for that social media platforms, or if you know some journalists in your community, this is again, we talk about this, but you can give a comment to Gulf News, National, and then you appear to your comments going to be more visible to a wider audience. Share your vision via webinars or events. Again, this is that we discussed. When you start building your profile, when you start talking to your network at the beginning, and you start to be seen by a wider audience as well, and this is where you start getting the invitations to the events. So actually do that. And number 5, my favorite, stop being shy. Go and grab that industry award. Very often we go to office to a client and they're like, we are small, we are startup, we have nothing to talk about. And then you sit down, you talk, and you find out a lot about that business or their SME or even enterprise. Enterprises might be more slow actually, and they're like, we don't have nothing new. It's gonna happen in the next 6 months for us. And then you dig, you excite them, and they're like, actually, we're doing this, we're doing that. So you find a lot of news angles that you can work with. So I ask you to be adventurous. I want you to wake up and in a positive way think, Believe in yourself. Think I'm a very interesting person. I have a lot of things going on in the business and life, and just start reflecting that. That's why coming back to the industry awards, there are many opportunities on the market to share your success stories. You know, then you go for that best company, but best SEO of the year. There is also a nomination for the best, the youngest entrepreneur, the most influential startup leader, or something like this. So, or a bigger scale. So, do invest time, research that, and be part of these opportunities. Never Eat Alone. This is actually this is a book by Keith Fernandez, which I'm gonna recommend to you as well at the end. But I encourage you to always think that you have a lunch, breakfast, or dinner, how you can spend it with an interesting person in your network. You as a reflection of 5 people around you. So think whom you surround yourself with. Find those inspirational people who's gonna drive you on a daily basis, who's gonna motivate you. And also the same comes to your business network. Go out, spend time networking, and this is where you will notice that it shouldn't be okay, let me BFF that person because I need the favor. Stop counting these favors, just give, and you know you're gonna get a lot in return. Coming back to differentiating your personal brand, again, many people are gonna say, what's different, what's my USP? There are many people like, or many businesses, many personalities like me, how can I stand out? So we're gonna talk a bit more about that, or the reasons why you should be doing it, in case still someone in the audience challenge that. Sales. Salespeople and marketers are often selling more than just a product. They are selling belief in their personal brands. And if you think about this market, this is super saturated market, then you go out with your offerings or your products, you have 10 more people offering the same. So what's going to help you to differentiate and stand out? Then you can get hours in the professional community to put their trust in you as an individual. And that's why you need to, again, resonate and be that person they want to refer. Another aspect for most of you, I noticed there are some people here who is on the corporate side and employees. If you're planning to find a job or another project, if you're talking about this side of things, a brand is simply a perception in the mind of the consumer. What we're talking here is that Rice and Trout once said, a brand actually is simple, a perception in the mind of the consumer. So whether you like it or not, people have a certain beliefs about yourself, and I heard a certain image that you already projected to them. And focusing on your projection and what message you send to people. You can see if it's working, resonating in the right direction for you or no. And then you can, again, adjust the activities and influence that you're creating. So it's like a puzzle. You keep turning yourself, your profile, and you something that vibes to people. You'll be surprised that what we resonate and that people get as a reflection in the mirror is totally different things. That's why you should be consistent and keep, monitoring and matching your profiles. See what works, what not, and then adjust. Your personal brand is your digital first impression, like a resume, but more about you personally. And think about this again. How many hours each of us spent always polishing our CVs when we were looking for a job, or polishing our LinkedIn profiles? But what about us as a brand? How many hours each of you spent just thinking about yourself as a brand? You started this year. Did you put your plan together for the next 12 months, quarterly KPIs for yourself? This is who I'm at the beginning of this year. This is where I want to be. Think about yourself as a business as well. Set up objectives, where are you heading, but also spend time thinking, what are my unique USPs anyway? How can I, use them to reach this space, how I can be more happy, how I can showcase my skill set in a better way. So have you ever thought of who you are, what's your strengths, and what people think about you? This is also a very interesting aspect. You can be a perfect fit for a new role or a project, but you'll be surprised that that person on another side of the table might not have the same reflection of your image that you think. That's why you need to spend time and plan this accordingly. How to understand where are you at? And this is my favorite. Google yourself. An exercise for you after this session, what you need to do is put your full name in a Google search. You can localize it as well. For example, my full name and the UAE, Dubai, or just put my name here. Google help me with localization itself. See what results gonna appear on the first page of Google. This is what people think about you. You may think you're a superstar, athlete, professional, etc., etc., etc. If I'm not gonna find this online, I'm really sorry, but for me, that's not who you are. For me, I'm gonna check the first page and the links which I'm gonna find. I'm gonna check images as well. And you know, my personal experience a few years back when I Googled myself, I was in shock. I thought I was a super nice professional that people think of me. But then I checked, the whole Google internet was about me attending different social events. Not that bad, but do check and tidy up the Google appearance newsfeed. Think about this as a Facebook newsfeed that you can influence. This is your reflection. This is who you are for people out there. That's why what I'm going to teach you today is how to influence your appearance in Google and how to have that right image of you online. But first, to take a note and play with this exercise, same you can do for your company. Just actually put your company name and put Dubai. This is more attractive from SEO, or you put Dubai UAE and you see what comes out. Again, you might spend hours doing one thing, but if it's not projected in Google, I'm really sorry, then it's not working. This is where area that we need to be focusing in. And another, so where are we at? You Google yourself, you check the results, and this is the main question. Are you happy with what you see? And second one, what can you do with it? How can we change that? And this is where we come into the checklist. And of course, first of all, profile photo and background. As mentioned, first go public. If you want to build an empire, but keep your account private, I'm really sorry. You need to choose between two. So Instagram, it's fine. Facebook, we mastered it, but LinkedIn, we still can see a lot of empty profiles out there. So go and upload the picture and the background information, and your picture should be consistent. Please be consistent across Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Very often we work with experts when we Google them, when we look for their profiles, it's all different. Sometimes you can't even think if it's the same person or not. Your executive summary, again, when I told you, we are maybe super great when it comes to work, but we often forget about ourselves. Do spend time and develop one half a pager about yourself and be consistent across our platforms. Twitter, we're not going to allow you to add a lot of information about yourself, but LinkedIn and Facebook, this is where you definitely need to master that. And when I'm talking about executive summary, think about this again. What do you space, what strengths you want to show in that in that CV, in that profile? Do you want to be seen as the perfect golfer or as a founder of XYZ company who established this and achieved this? So it's a matter of like storytelling and the angling as well. Another example, you might very have intense tech background, but if you're launching a new business and you want to be seen as an entrepreneur, don't just highlight all the geeky stuff that you had in the past, but think what did you do in terms of the business impact in all your previous even corporate roles before you started your entrepreneur journey. So this is about the storytelling as well. And you know, for those of you who's gonna stuck and be like, to be honest, my career is very boring, I don't see myself, this is the time to call your mom. I'm really sorry, but our moms are the biggest ambassadors, and your relatives as well. Call them seriously after this session. You can add this to your list. Call them and say, hey mom, why do you love me? I'm joking, but can you name me five things why you think I'm so awesome? And then ask your friends as well and relatives. You'll be surprised, but it's actually a nice exercise to see what reflection you're already portraying on your close circle of people. if they're gonna tell you you're a nice cooker, you're gonna be like, okay, that's my family and relatives. But if you're gonna get a feedback from a closed network as well and your employees, and this is not gonna be something that you actually was working on, then you need to, you know, twist your profile as well and start like showcasing these things as well. So do talk to your mom and relatives as well. Don't to forget to include the key messages. This is what we discuss as well. And actually, if you're gonna say, look, still, I don't have that many activities which I can mention in my profile, then go and be active. This is especially a message to students who are here on this call today. Then I wish I was given this advice when I was in university. I was looking for my first job, and I just like, people, companies didn't want to take us that freely on board. But this is because we never thought, okay, let me be an intern first. Let me come and say, guys, I'm capable of this, this, and this. Highlight your strengths, and then build the practical track record. Even if you're an established entrepreneur and a business consultant now, a specialist, think what skill sets you lack in, which you want to add to your profile, and then go there. I see like TiE as a community give fantastic platform to contribute, but also think about volunteering, CSR, internship, university project, all these activities. Start being active. Define your target audience. We talk about this. You need to think, okay, who are my audience? And this is coming back to my initial question at the beginning when I said, how can you build that glossy profile that everyone will know you? You don't need everyone. You need to define what's your target target groups like you want to know about, you know, the target market. I work as well. Your positioning, remember that chart. We keep coming back to that chart. You should be consistent with key messaging and set KPIs. Next quarter, year, yes, we talk about yourself as a business as well. More present on all important platforms, especially your customers are. And also, we discussed this, but this is a checklist for yourself. Write your content plan for the next 15, 30, 60 days, engage daily with your newsfeed, and also actually interact with your community. Make your story loud. This is going above all the social media and how you can get more publicity. If you never thought about this, that's the time for you to think what's so unique about your business. And this is again an exercise for you either now or later. Give 4 story ideas, how you can be of interest to media. And this is more about you personally. When you do all this, what we discussed with you today, then think about what 4 stories I can give to Gulf News tomorrow. National, choose media. Why are we thinking about it? Dailies, Forbes, Entrepreneur. Let's talk about this media. Think about this, and I really want to hear your thoughts about this. Just quick ideas. I have some notes here that I'm looking. So highlight your competence in XYZ sector. If there is an event, an exhibition, to take part in it and make it loud as well as you present. Don't just book a stand and stand there. Think how you can talk to media, how you can resonate with comments as well. Industry relevance. First, B2B platforms for e-commerce. This is a very niche, cool USP that you can be talking about. Or like UDrive founder, when we started working with him, he was 25 and he launched 7 businesses. This is a cool story to tell about. Dig inside your history, inside your experience, and then find out all these USPs that you can nicely dance with. As well as effect on the community. If your business or yourself, if you're projecting and having some effect on the community, talk about that as well. Think strategically as well. Beginning of the year, we can talk about trends in 2021. So write an article about the industry trends and share it on your LinkedIn, or give it to your PR person. That would be the smartest move, because they can give it to the media, and this is where your article gonna appear in front of thousands. Research, prepare an event calendar for this year. Why I'm talking about this, if you're a lifestyle business, Ramadan is coming. Some people say this is going to be a very quiet one for myself, for my business. But again, think it might be an opportunity for you. And I want you to start thinking opportunities wise. Conduct an industry study. You can reveal statistics, share with journalists, publish on LinkedIn again and again. Now you're a public person, you have assets and tools as well to communicate this. This will help you to stand out as a thought leader in your market. Issue a press release about the partnership, launch of your business. There are many opportunities there, just brainstorm. And you can also educate the business. Just remember, you're the expert. You're an expert who knows everything. I don't know your industry that well. Journalists work on different stories. They don't know your industry that well. But that's why I keep sharing the tips and advice. This is just some books to read as well, and which I mentioned, Never Eat Alone, super interesting book by Kate Ferrazzi. Do read it as well. Guy Kawasaki, go-to person as well. Seth Godin, I can name all these people, which is just like a checklist for you for this month only. And one big impact, start working on your profile today. I can continue and continue. I'm just cautious about the time. I really want to answer some of the questions. So I'm gonna stop sharing the presentations, and I really want to look into the chat section, or feel free to unmute yourself as well and any questions. Yeah, David, please.
The procrastination that makes us write notes rather than starting today, that is known. However, for those who are entrepreneurs among us, some of them have the day cut into slices of what they have to do, and sometime where they can do some things to promote themselves. And how much of that time, from your experience, should one take of the 8 hours? Or my first question, how much of the money that I do as a turnover with my business can I invest in my other ventures, new businesses, and so on, to be successful in PR?
That's a very good question, and that can be addressed from many sides. Very often we wear too many hats, and especially for those entrepreneurs that's just starting the journey, you think, okay, I need to save cash, let me do this and this, and then you start doing accounting and you're doing social media posting, and this is what you're saying, you forget about the new business, or you drop in the ball with something else. So here I do encourage you to think about the investment. Maybe some areas you need to outsource. We live in a world with like a lot of freelancers. We can support you with that. So again, actually social media, but I was referring a lot today, if you can, when you're thinking about, this is about the smart planning. And again, we're talking about 12 posts per month. That's not that big. Many experts we work with, they still want to do it by themselves to show their knowledge. This is one of the ways for you. Another one, you can have a freelance PR advisor with whom you're going to share your vision, and this is that person's going to help you with content creation, design, and they take care of all of this. So it's also a known tactic as ghostwriting. This is where you share ideas, but then other people take care of your social media while you're running your business. This is one of the activities, like one of the advice as well. But what is important here is to actually start doing so. And the most time consuming will be probably putting together a strategy and resonating with yourself. And this is where you need to spend 1 weekend doing so, just looking into yourself and be like, whom I want to be, like what my objectives, and be harsh on yourself. Set very high KPIs this year, and just go and grab them. To answer your question about the investment, if it's worth it, in the marketing we say you need to invest 10% of the budget in order to win into marketing, so to win the new projects. Same goes with your personal profile. You either invest in time, or if you are a startup and thinking about the cash investment again into involving other people, think what can I achieve in 3-6 months if I allocate this amount, and trust me, it's worth it. Actually, to add to this, we recently consulted a startup. So the team came on board and they said, we have a project, so we're bootstrapping, we don't have that much cash, but we want to achieve these crazy goals in a short period of time. So the best scenario, what they did is actually they invested into communication, their time. They released the news announcement about their business. So what happened? the startup journey that they could do within 12 months, they shortened the cycle for themselves and they achieved the objective within 3 months. So within first stage of awareness campaign, they got massive blanket awareness about their business, which gave them visibility, helped them to onboard suppliers, partners. And then as a startup business or a young business in SME, what do you think a next step? I need an investor. I need someone, like to get cash from. So again, they came for an advice and what can we do? And the second wave of campaign could be on your personal profiling. While you push businesses initially to attract investors, you need to invest into yourself as well. So what happened to that business after 1 year? They start up, they expanded operations to Sharjah now, to Abu Dhabi. They got the investment as well. And this is because they spent time on the personal and business branding as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you as well.
Anastasia, we have some questions and you have to be short on your answers because we're running out of time.
Stop me.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, does PR style have to be as per the brand image you are associated to? If yes, how? I'm thinking the personal style and
Yeah, I see what you mean.
yeah.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Look, you are actually the trendsetter for yourself. So, and it will depend how you position yourself. So actually Steve Jobs, coming back to that example, he said that example that you can just turn up in a t-shirt on a stage and represent a billion business and rolling out the project globally. So no, it's up to you personally how you want to position. Of course, if you're planning to be a crazy entrepreneur, you need to up that game and be consistent and actually see if it's not reflecting negatively. Again, then you cheekily play with your profile, still think about what ultimate results I'm getting out of this. I would just encourage to watch that one.
Okay. This is from Priya, she's a copywriter. When we do branding for businesses, we look quite closely into the market cap, the competitors, etc. How does this translate to building your personal branding?
Good question as well. Yes, as I told you, it's like business. Yours is a business project as well. Don't only Google yourself and know very well how you're reflecting, but also keep an eye on your peers as well. What's happening in the industry? You should be aware of that. And again, up the game, notice the gaps, close this, be more visible in the niche there. Your competition is not, or up the game where you all, heading towards a certain milestones. So that's kind of important.
Okay. Does personal branding help a product-based business also? I believe product-based business is product and impact focused and not focused on who is making or running the product business versus a service.
It does. Look, if you especially head in the business, so you are as a partly representation of your brand as well, or you influence in that. That's why we're talking about personal brand today, because you can help your sales as well. This is one of the milestones and the takeaways from today. By strengthening your profile, ultimate gain, apart from you're gonna become a billionaire, you also can help your business, to scale up faster. And some doors you can open as a corporate, but you'll be surprised many doors you can open only as a personality. And for that, for your business to shine, you need to be a shiny person as well.
Yeah. So there's one, how to balance between blowing one's own trumpet and PR management. And there's a comment as well, I just want to add to that. Do you think the most important piece today is not what you are saying about yourself, but about what people are saying about you?
That's true. That's why That's why we were talking about the key messages, because when you're consistent about how you portray yourself, this is where you end up people repeating that information. That's why I told you, chat to your colleagues and peers in the market, and also your family members, and see what they think they're telling about yourself. Ideally, it should be your 30-second elevator pitch that whenever you portraying these messages and communicating, or the industry resonate back, it should be that you should be getting in return the same message that you wanted to portray. So that's important.
Okay. Is there any connection between character and brand?
Of course, that's why look, it's another hour we need to spend on that to address that. But that's important. You need to also keep an eye on that. But don't be afraid to actually expose your personality. There is no like certain standards you need to follow, and the more unique and organic you are, the better. You shouldn't just decline yourself as a personality. You need, again, you just need to define your USPs, and that will help you.
There was a girl who raised her hands earlier.
Yeah, I mentioned Aisha as well.
Are you here?
Hi, Anastasia. Could I go ahead and ask the question?
Yes.
Yes.
You mentioned about how when we choose to remain private individuals, we are slowly becoming invisible to our target audience. I'm currently working with 2 startups about their launch strategies. And the thing is, because of cultural sensitivity and the nature of the topic that they're talking about, they do not want to present themselves in the public space with their face attached to the brand. They're more than happy to do all the posts a month, talk about what their product does or what their service is. But the idea of putting their face to the brand is frightening. And there is no way I can get them to budge on it. So what would you suggest in that scenario?
Look, to address that question, by the way, I forgot to mention why you need to be visible, why you need to spend, why we spend so much time about your social media. Then you Google yourself, what you're gonna see is actually on the first page of Google. First of all, what's gonna appear is your website, in case you have a bio in it, but what's reflecting later on is the social media. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, these are the profiles that gonna appear on Google search, and people gonna start looking for you. That's why I'm encouraging you so much to spend time on that. So to address your question, I could tell you, look, leave the social media for them. If they could be visible, that would, add another benefit to their business and their profiles as well. I know about the sensitivity in this market. For example, Facebook is used in Europe as a work tool, but in this market, it's more family platform. So it doesn't mean you need to open all the platforms, but consider at least to have one as a LinkedIn. You're more visible, more consistent. If still, let's say, a person doesn't want to go public, then you just allocate another public person for the brand who's going to be that, representing the brand. It's the only solution. But to be quiet, you can still be, but you're going to miss on so many opportunities today.
Can I add to this a little,
Right,
to Ayesha?
much.
Ayesha, I would recommend maybe take someone's like Anastasia said, take an icon, or there are some big brands that have a comic figure or whatever. Or in Germany, we have a very famous singer. You never saw your face, the Crow. So I would suggest to them some nice and crazy idea to be visible. Must not be their personal setup or face.
At some point, yeah, you can. If you wanted to have a public talk at the summit, that's going to be the challenge then. Ganesh, you have a question as well. Please do ask.
Yeah. Thanks, Anastasia. I fully agree with the views which you gave. There is one simple thing I wanted to ask. Like, I come from the insurance background in Bombay, in India, and fairly I am a known person in the industry. And it's a complete strategic business that I'm into, where I need to talk only to the CROs and CEOs, etc. And I have really seen that when I need to go, it's my contacts and my information and my product which I'm going to give, which works. And the social media doesn't really affect much. In fact, I have seen some CEOs of large insurance companies in India who keep on coming up on the social media through ghostwriting, what you said, which is visible, and it actually becomes pesky. and the perception about such people becomes negative, specifically in the professional side of the large industries. So maybe you can throw some light on that.
Yeah, when it comes to personal profiling, you shouldn't be selling. This is more about being informative, being a thought visionary in your industry. So, of course, the work and your personal communication should be different. So, in work, you can be more aggressive in terms of marketing and positioning of the products. But on social media, your personal platforms, here, what the encouragement is keep chatting to your network. First, building your organic network, but for the matter of influence, be top of mind for them on a certain topics. If you're in an insurance industry and you don't want to be seen as an aggressive one, just think, what are the topics that I can bring to my network that can be useful to them? That's one of the examples I mentioned were trends or some useful information that you can share, or launch a study. People love, to get insights on the industry where you operate in. So you can be actually, and I like that you mentioned that people don't like insurance agents because you might come, or bankers, you come with aggressive attitude, but you
No,
can
no,
be
I'm not talking about, sorry to disturb. No, I'm not an insurance agent. I'm a strategic advisor to insurance companies.
insurance
So
company.
even that becomes like, that's a highly professional role where you're dealing only with the CXOs of larger insurance companies. So when you appear too much, like as I said, I have seen some CEOs appearing every third day. They're following the rules of 3 posts in a week. Women's Day, there'll be something, there'll be some award thing, or some social service thing, some athletics thing, or marathon thing. So you can feel that this guy is coming too often and is becoming pesky, and you
Yeah,
stop reading those posts. So specifically in the professional world, it becomes a little pesky.
you just look, you just answered the question partly yourself. You shouldn't overdo it, and also you should see, say, an International Women's Day, it makes sense, but if you're just coming up with a post on a single event that's happening in this community, that's a bit too much. So you can differentiate the platform, say something on one platform, but refrain from saying that in another one. But yeah, you shouldn't overdo with like more posts than needed, because then you build that pie. You will see your profile more clear, who you are and how you want to be seen. So again, the messages like this might be good for your corporate message, platforms to leave it there. But your stakeholders can be more visionary on certain aspects, and then leave it to communication corporate team to deliver the rest of the messages. So I would advise to split
Right,
that.
right. Thank you. One last question in connection, basically.
I'm sorry,
Uh,
we're really late. We're running late. So just in
sure,
respect of time, we need to.
Ganesh, you can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. So
sure,
everyone,
100%.
if I didn't manage to address your questions today,
Sure,
we
sure.
run these sessions quite often. So to get in touch with us, and I will help with advice, I'm more than
Yeah,
happy.
I just have one last question, Anastasia. Are you okay to share your presentation? Because I had some inquiries.
Sure, sure. And in return, if you can share with me your plan, how you plan to action it within the next 30 days.
So write to TiE Dubai at tiedubai.org with a plan of how you're going to action your personal brand, and you'll get the presentation. Have a great evening.
Stay tuned for more.